Just because the man's domestic car didn't yield the parking space to a rich heir's imported luxury car, the rich heir smashed the man's domestic car in anger because he believed he could easily afford to compensate for such a cheap car. But he didn't know this domestic car had a special national identification number, a car that only top-level national figures are allowed to ride in. And the man was someone he absolutely could not afford to offend. Ron was a key national scientific researcher. Not long ago, he developed technology that was ahead of the world. This major achievement made him the president of the National Academy of Sciences. However, while he was driving back for a blind date, he was hit by a spoiled rich kid named Gary. Arrogantly said his car was a luxury vehicle and that such a domestic car didn't deserve to be parked here. Ron asked whether he understood this was a numbered national vehicle. Clearly, he had no idea what that meant. Ron's reasoning with Gary went nowhere because Gary was being completely unreasonable. Just as Ron was about to call the police, Gary bragged that he worked under Joey. Ron remembered that his blind date was Joey. She was the granddaughter of the tycoon Louis. To save his date's reputation, Ron told Gary to apologize and end the matter there, and that the incident would be over. However, he underestimated Gary's arrogance. Gary not only used Joey's name to threaten Ron, demanding Ron apologize to him, he even demanded a huge compensation. Seeing Gary bully him this badly, Ron had no choice but to call Joey. But before the call could go through, Gary snatched his phone and threw it on the ground, mocking Ron, saying a poor guy with a domestic car couldn't possibly know his boss. But as soon as he said that, Joey's call came in. Ron didn't give Gary a chance to react. He picked up the phone to tell Joey what happened. This scene terrified Gary. He thought he was done for, but Joey hung up before Ron could finish speaking, which made Gary relax instantly. Feeling mocked, Gary became even angrier and began smashing the car wildly. The loud noise attracted employees from the company. Joey was also alerted, but when Joey came downstairs, she didn't scold Gary at all. Instead, she looked at Ron disdainfully for driving a domestic car. Clearly, she also didn't understand the significance of the numbered vehicle, nor did she know Ron's real identity. As a top national talent, Ron's identity had to be kept confidential. He planned to tell Joey after the date, but now he realized she couldn't tell right from wrong. She was not worthy of being his wife. Joey and Gary shouted that Ron must pay $10 million, or he wouldn't be allowed to leave. Ron called his superior. Gary grabbed the phone and spoke rudely. The superior was furious and immediately sent people with money. However, what arrived was a police escort with an armored cash truck. Gary was terrified. He began to suspect Ron truly was a big figure Gary went to ask. But the armed officers only knew they were delivering money. They didn't personally know Ron. Gary then used Joey's grandfather Louis's name to intimidate the officers. So they left Gary prepared to give Ron a brutal lesson. Ron was restrained by Gary's men, completely unable to fight back. Just as Ron was about to be beaten, an old man stopped them. He was Louis rescued. Gary fell to his knees and begged for mercy. Crying that he now understood his mistake, Ron believed him and prepared to leave with Louis. However, Gary's belief in Louis lasted only a moment. Soon he suspected Louis was a fake rich man. Otherwise, how could Joey not know her grandfather was visiting? And why would she allow him to bully Ron? Thinking of this, Gary knocked both Louis and Ron unconscious and tied them up. Then Gary proudly went to Joey to claim credit. Boasting that he had captured the man impersonating her grandfather, Joey was indeed pleased and came personally to see the supposed imposter. But the moment the door opened, Joey froze.